Hi guys, and welcome to the Girls with Voices podcast. Today we're talking about grooming. So I have my lovely ladies with me here. Ladies, please introduce yourselves.
Hi guys, my name is mkhwenyana.
Hi guys, my name is Chidadi Sobazo.
Hi people, my name is Azel Gosa and it's about to go down.
Yay!
Ooh, okay. So we're gonna go straight into it. Can anyone here please tell us what grooming is?
Okay, so we have many misconceptions about grooming, but personally I think that grooming is the art of nurturing and preparing and also earning the trust of a child, the child's family, the child's friends. In all this, the person will be doing it so that they can get sex or get to abuse or exploit the child in the future.
All right, so that may be a bit blurry and some people may not be able to understand that line. So can someone please tell us the steps of grooming? How does one come to be groomed?
Okay, grooming mainly involves 7 stages. It all starts with identifying the victim, then gaining trust and access to the victim, then gradually isolating the target and have found a relationship. Then also it's about creating a secret relationship, then initiating sexual contact, then lastly controlling the relationship.
Thank you so much, Chichi, for giving us those steps of grooming. Now, we're gonna take a different approach to this podcast episode where we're gonna read stories from actual victims that they have sent to us so that we can get to understand and see the sorts of grooming that there is from a relatable point of view. Please read the first story for us.
Okay, I'll read the first story. It goes, Hi, my name is Nono and I'm 18 years old. I recently finished high school. I had this best friend. Let's call her Nicole. Nicole and I met in high school and became friends. We are inseparable. We had everything in common. My mother is a very strict woman, so I never had a phone or anything. One day after school, my mother agreed to let me visit Nicole. To my surprise, that day when we went home together and we got home, her older brother, who was about 23, was home, and Nicole and I were 14. I will admit he was cute and I had a very big crush on him. When Nicole mentioned she had a brother, I didn't expect him to be that good looking. Okay. Wow. That visit is when I started talking to Nicole's brother. I started going to their house more often so that I could see him because I couldn't talk to him. I didn't have a phone. Let's call Nicole's brother Mandla. I'll go to sleep with my shoes on, thinking about Mandla and the conversations we had. This one time he touched my hand and my world exploded. One afternoon, Mandla gave me a surprise phone so that we could talk. We started talking every night on the phone about things like sex. He used to send me links to porn videos and told me to learn for when we would do it. I told him I didn't want to do it and he called me his girlfriend, and from TV, girlfriends and boyfriends do those things together. So I figured I owed it to him because he was my boyfriend. He was my first boyfriend and he was way older. It was my first time getting attention from an older man and it excited me the next time I saw him. I got my first kiss. I felt so loved. We had planned to do the right things. We had planned to do the things he had wanted from the start. On my 15th birthday, which was in a few months' time because my mother was letting me sleep over at Nicole's house, making it easier for Mandla and I. However, this one time when I got home from school, I found my mother going through the phone I hid under the mattress. I got the beating of my life and I never went to Nicole's house again. I always went to school and back home only. I only got a phone in lower 6. I was very angry at my mother for taking away the phone and stopping me from seeing Mandla because I truly believe I was in love until recently when I realized I was used, and the whole encounter just left me addicted to porn. Guys, what do you
Oh,
think?
that story was packed.
Yeah.
That story was packed. So those are some of the things that happen to most young girls in everyday life, where we get attention from older men.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm so bad that older men want me. When in reality, they're the problem, because why don't women their age want them? So it's the type of thing that you need to ask yourself.
Yeah, because like this month the person was over 20 and
Already she was
only
14, 15, yes.
I mean, anything below 16 with anyone, anything with anyone below 16 is honestly wrong and disgusting.
And the fact that he wanted her to sleep with him at a particular point in time, buying her the phone and everything like that. It's
So
just
how, like, how did they move from buying the phone to talking about sex already? Like, how could?
and she's only 14.
Yeah, that's how you know that
that
the
is not
intentions are in the
even
wrong place.
So I think the guy of it took advantage of her and her innocence. The fact that she's never had a boyfriend before, so he thinks he's teaching her new things when in actual fact it's not.
He's taking advantage.
It's age, that's actually the age of people who get affected by grooming actually. Because
Yeah.
they're not concerned with their actions.
And the fact that he was trying to manipulate her in a way that he was saying, okay, so I'm sending you this sex links or porn links so that me and you will do it. And the minute she said, I can't do this with you, he was like, no, you are my girlfriend.
Yeah, that's
Girlfriend and
manipulation.
boyfriends. They,
She's 14.
they
guys.
do
She's
those kinds of
She's
things.
14. What does she know? Come on.
Yeah,
man.
but we need to remember the part in the story where she says, I felt like I owed it to him. So I think that's another big part of grooming. You know, when they build that emotional bond with you and manipulate you to the extent where you feel as though you owe that person your
Because
body
they've done
because
Yeah.
of the things that they do.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next story. This story, by the way, all the names used on these stories are fake to protect the identity of the people that sent them. But the next story is Naomi's story. She says, hi, my name is Naomi and I'm 18 at the end of this year. There's a popular hockey tournament that used to take place every year pre-COVID at the hockey stadium, and I went to watch it in 2018. I'm an end of year baby, so I was 14 but turning 15. So during one of the games, I spotted a very cute guy who my friend introduced me to. The tournament was an under 21 tournament for boys. I don't know if my story counts as sexual grooming, but the tournament was 3 days long and I met this guy on the first day. We would talk and hang out between his games. Then on the last day of the tournament, he sent his friends to call me to the bus. There were people in the bus, so I didn't think much of it. Immediately, the people in the bus left us alone and he said, let's go to the back seat. We went there and he suddenly asked how old I am. And I told him I was 14 and then he said he was 15. He carried me and made me sit on him, then grabbed my hips and made me move around while sitting on him. I was very uncomfortable seeing as I was so sheltered at that age. I believed sex was just two people sleeping next to each other. And now this boy was making me move around on top of him. I was terrified because I thought I would get pregnant. I decided to distract him and make him stop. Then I told him I had to use the bathroom. I ran and I never looked back. However, we continued talking on WhatsApp and he told me how these sexual things worked. We spoke for a couple of months until he invited me to go to the park with him. And he told me not to chicken out this time. I went with him and while sitting next to him, he would grab my thighs and make sexual advances on me and I couldn't take it. I left. I was highly uncomfortable. Then one day I saw him on people's statuses and they were wishing him happy birthday, but he wasn't turning 16, he was turning 21.
Oh my God.
Oh
So
my
he was
goodness.
basically led on and lied to.
I feel like that's another part of sexual grooming, that lying about your age. Like, oh no, I'm just 21.
So
in
these people are
reality, you're
basically
30.
deceiving. They're basically deceiving us.
They're
Yeah.
trying to make you believe that I'm your age, so you can
So whatever
trust
we're
me.
doing, it's a bit justified.
Exactly.
But
'Cause-
that is bad.
and the fact that you have to lie about your age means that you know that she's not at the age of consent. She
So
can't
that
consent. So you now have to lower your age to her so that you somewhat justifying and making yourself feel better.
And whatever you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
basically, the groomers are very much aware of what they're doing. So they're doing it on purpose. Because how are you going to lie about your age from 21 to 15?
And on top
Yeah.
of lying, he pursues her months later.
And
Yeah.
the thing that is he the one who asked her to come to the bus or whatever?
Yes, he sent someone.
To ask her to come to the bus,
Yeah.
and then you make some sexual advances towards her, which make it uncomfortable.
Yes, yes. Anyway, ladies,
Yeah.
these stories were very, very interesting. In the next segment, we'll be back with very interesting, spicy stories about things that girls in our very own community have gone through in order that have to do with sexual grooming. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Please stay tuned.
Yay.
Welcome back to the Girls with Voices podcast. We're going to go on and reading more and more stories about the things that the girls in our community have gone through. So, ladies, do you think that sexual grooming only happens in person, or do you think that it can also be something that happens on social media platforms?
I mean, like with the anonymity and exposure that social media has nowadays, there's online grooming. It's definitely there and it's real.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so we have Stacy's story that also has to do with online grooming. So I will read it for you. It says, "Hey, I'm Stacy, and I don't know if the story counts as grooming because it was through social media. But ever since I was in Form 1, I used to talk to random Indian men in this X and O's game on my Nokia. The game allowed you to talk to your opponent, and I would often exchange numbers with the men there, or I would talk to them on Facebook. This one specific man who I used to exchange explicit pictures with, I was 12 by the way, turning 13, that's in brackets. So we did this on Facebook, and one day my mother gave me the beating of my life because an anonymous account had sent her pictures of me. She went through my tablet and found messages on Facebook from the woman telling me off. I believe it was the man's wife. I was called a homewrecker and many other names by my own mother. Does this count as grooming? Because I feel like it was my fault."
Okay, we don't mean to be judgmental or sentimental, but if we're gonna engage with people on social media, the least we could do is check who we're engaging with. And after engaging, let's say you didn't know, at least you can find out from their character, from their actions, what their true intentions are, honestly, because something's really getting ourselves into trouble. Like, we have this thing that groomers do, like, it's a classic old groomers trait. They want everything, they demand everything to be discreet. I mean, if someone is going to demand discretion from you, their messages in your friendship or relationship, then that's a sign, that's definitely a red flag. Be warned, run away, action.
I definitely agree with you. However, how do you ladies think that we could do this? You said that we need to protect ourselves, but how will that 12-year-old girl that's feeling wanted by this old man, that feels special because of the attention of this man, don't you think that it would be more recommendable for us to tell the old man not to message this girl? She doesn't have the maturity
She's
Yeah.
to see. Yes, so she does not have that maturity yet to say, oh no, this might be fake. This might be a man using random pictures on the internet to try and get my explicit pictures. So what would we do about that situation? Seeing as we have an 11-year-old girl that just got her phone and doesn't have that maturity yet. How exactly would we be able to protect our girls from that online grooming?
So I'm thinking, right, first of all, obviously the thing is to educate young girls about the whole thing. To say, you can't talk to a person online and they ask for your private, limited pictures that you know that you cannot even shoot, that you know that you cannot even send to anyone. So obviously, that's the first step. That's the first red light or whatever, if I'm just, whatever I can call it. The first thing to say, no, this person.
First read something.
Yeah, read something, I don't know. Read something to say, no, this person is not who I'm thinking he is. And obviously his intentions are bad, and whatever he wants to do with the pictures is also bad. So the first thing is to educate girls to say no. Don't talk to such people, block such people. Yeah, that's true.
What is she doing on Facebook? Exchanging numbers with old men.
You know,
How old is
guys,
she,
when
by
you're
the way?
children, she said she was 12 turning 13 years, but I'm talking about 11 to 12 year old. But then, to me, this conversation is somewhat shifting. I do not disagree with the fact that we should educate our girls.
Yeah.
But in as much as we will educate our girls, right now there's online learning. My little sister is in grade 3, but she needs a phone for her online learning due to the pandemic. And on that phone, they get exposed to some things. And in as much as I may tell you that, don't do this, don't do that, there's this thing called curiosity. I'm sure we've all gone through it. I know I was a naughty child growing up. Well, I'm not a cat. Neither. No one here is a cat. That's the thing. I was a naughty child growing up. I know what it feels like to do something because I'm curious and not having had that, you know, that person who's gonna be like, no, let's not do this.
Yes,
So
you want to try new stuff out.
Exactly.
Find out how it feels.
because that's the nature of a child.
Yeah.
That's why when something happens, we can never really blame the child. We always have to reprimand the adults in the situation.
So you know, it's not a matter of maybe saying no, my child, don't do this because maybe you don't know what's happening, or maybe frightening them about the thing. At times, I believe it's just telling them, no, my child, don't do this because ABCD will happen, and ABCD is not good for you.
Yeah.
So all in all, it's a matter of honesty
That's
and talking
true.
to your children about the whole thing.
That's
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really true.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to read our last story on the online grooming. So this is Nami's story. She says, hi, my name is Nami and I'm 17 years old. I don't know if my story counts as sexual grooming, but last year during the first lockdown, I was added by someone I don't know on Snapchat. A man posing as an old white man who always replied to my stories telling me how beautiful I am. I was 16 at the time. The man often posted his cars and houses, etc. But I never thought much of it. One day I was bored and decided to reply him. And then we started talking. He told me he was 38 and he asked for my age. I told him I was 16 and he told me he loves spring chickens. This is pedophilia at its best. This is pedophilia at its best. And he told me he loves spring chickens. I know I should have stopped talking to him then, but I was really bored and wanted to know where it would go. One night he video called me and asked me to stand up and show him my body. And I surprised myself when I did it, because Snapchat tells you when people screenshot. So I felt really confident that no one would find out. He immediately took out his beep and started stroking it. I was 16 at the time and a very sheltered child. Woo, okay. It was my first time seeing it. He told me to take off my clothes and PG, and I didn't know how to. That's when we started having these calls where he would teach me what to do. And he always told me how he loved how young and tender I looked. I'm very short and very small. One could easily confuse me with a 13-year-old. And he said that was his favorite thing about me. He then set up a date to meet up, and he said he would come to see me. He claimed he lived in Harare and I live in Bulawayo. He said he loved me and that after I finished school, we would be together. I agreed on meeting him, and out of excitement, I told one of my friends who was not very supportive of the idea. I called her jealous and blocked her and went on posting about how fake friends are real. I always sent him pictures of my toes, because I knew he liked them. I had a very bad dream about him hurting me and I was very shaken, so I blocked him and didn't show up for the meet. And he started DMing me on Instagram asking me what had gone wrong. He messaged me, and when I would block him, he would make a new account telling me that I owe him. And when I wouldn't reply, he resorted to calling me names and racist slurs. I don't know if this counts as sexual grooming. I've never really shared my story, seeing as I always felt as though it was my fault.
Oh my
Wow.
Oh, that was a lot to take. Right, ladies, we've read these stories, these very spicy stories. We've heard what we've heard it from the horse's mouth, technically. And now we see that there's a lot of common factors in these stories. For example, people feeling like they're at fault.
Yeah.
And what exactly would you guys point out as being the long-term effects of what these young ladies have gone through?
Especially, a lot of them are left maybe addicted to porn. And which is bad, because at the end of the day, if somebody is addicted to porn, they would usually go for masturbation, and which of course is also bad for one, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. And we also have trauma bonding. Like, this is where the victim, where the groomer actually puts you in a position of trust with them. What they do and say is what you believe. So at the end of the day, you're going to be angry when they leave. You're going to be angry at yourself, angry at them. You're actually going to fall into depression, actually. Trauma bonding actually leads into depression. And depression could be very fatal.
And I also feel like there's always anxiety, and if it's a child, they won't be able to concentrate at school. They'll be just reliving what they've gone through, and it's very bad for their health, I suppose.
And to think maybe, just to stretch a bit, if somebody goes through such a thing in life at a tender age, what happens to them when they get older? They meet someone who wants to marry them, somebody who's real, somebody who's genuine.
Know the difference between
You see the thing, so they don't get to trust people so easily, and that
trust
would be
is
good.
destroyed and shattered.
These are very, very interesting points that you're bringing up, and I agree very, very much with Hazel's point about trauma bonding. Like, for example, we see how most of these girls stay feeling as though it's their fault, because to them, their groomer is like that supreme being. They're that person that has been placed on a pedestal. These people have lost their friends, the people that speak against the groomer are immediately cut out. So it's the type of thing where, like, you see just how they act as though they've been hypnotized and as if they're like under that person's spell and command.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yes. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in to our podcast. It was very interesting. We had very nice stories to read. We've learned so much, and I hope you now know how to identify grooming and the steps that lead up to grooming. And please catch us next time at the same place. Thank you.
Ciao.